The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 is the fourth and final installment of the Hunger Games saga. It's once again directed by Francis Lawrence and stars a shit ton of people. Basically the return cast, there's no one new. This film has led to the final battle, to Katniss up against President Snow, up against the Capitol. This is where all loose ends tie up. This is the end, guys. Now, if you guys saw my review of Mockingjay Part 1, you guys may know that I thought the first Hunger Games was a fine film. I loved Catching Fire. I thought that was such a great film. Big improvement over the first Hunger Games. And I liked Mockingjay Part 1 for what it was. I originally gave that film an A-, but then recently I rewatched the film again in preparation for this one. Like, I would give it like a B-. And yeah, I was looking forward to this film. I have been waiting for this. I've been waiting to see how this ends. Now, if people want to know if I read the books, I only read the first book. I never read the second one or the third one. Never got around to reading those books, but yeah, overall, I liked the film. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's much better than Mockingjay Part 1 for sure. For show. Gonna get that for show. I had a good time with it. I did. There are a few negatives I have, but let's start with the positives. From the beginning to the end of this franchise, Jennifer Lawrence has been consistent as Katniss. She owns this role. No one else could have played the role like her, and she is marvelous. Everyone else does great. There's not one weak performance in this film or series. Visually, the film is great. It's not like a high visual type of film like a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, but the visuals in this movie are pretty good. The costumes are excellent. The action is extremely well done. There's really good action sequences in this movie. Since I didn't read the book, I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was like, oh, that was crazy. There were a few moments that made me cry because this is not a happy film. Like, yeah, it's happy. It's like it's a very good film, but like the stuff that goes on in it is just very heartbreaking. You're like, there's like no hope in this world. It's just so upsetting. Like, I can't believe that this movie has like no light. Of course, the way it ends is very happy and stuff, but I mean, it ends in a good way. Now let's get to my negatives. My biggest flaw with this movie, as well as Part 1, is that it was a very slow-paced film. Not as slow-paced as Mockingjay Part 1, but let me just say this right now. Mockingjay Part 1 was set up. I understand that people don't like a lot of setup. Do I think this film should have been split into two parts? No. I don't think this film should have been split into two parts. I think it would have been fine as one film. It would have been a very long film. I could agree with that. It probably would have been like a 3-hour long film, but like, I'm sure it would have been better than splitting it into two parts. Like I said, the pacing is just so off in this movie. The first 30 minutes of this movie are extremely slow. And then he picks up after that, but I still felt the pace of the film. I don't like feeling the pace of the films. I don't like that. I like going into a movie and not feeling the pace. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it kind of doesn't work. And that's my biggest fault in the movie. That might actually be my only problem with this movie, pretty much. And the supporting characters were barely in the movie. Haymitch, who's been my favorite character of the entire series, who's played excellently by Woody Harrelson, he's barely in this movie. I can understand why, but he was barely in it. He was only in 2 scenes. Elizabeth Banks' character was only in for like 1 scene. Philip Seymour Hoffman, like 3 scenes. Julianne Moore, like 3 scenes. These characters weren't really in the movie that much. The main characters of this movie were really Katniss, Peeta, and Gale. And that's really it. But everyone did a great job. All the performances. Visually, the film is really good. The cinematography was very good. I liked the score, too. And I enjoyed the way the film ended. It's just that because of the pace, it kind of ruined my enjoyment of the film. So overall, I did like Mockingjay Part 2. I thought it was a very good conclusion. I thought it could have been much stronger. It could have been much better. Like, I really kind of wanted this film to be on the same level as Deathly Hallows Part 2 or Return of the King. But I knew that this film wouldn't be as strong as those 2 films, but I wanted it to be on the same level. So overall, I really enjoyed this franchise. I'm really glad that this franchise wasn't shitty like Divergent. I'm sorry, Divergent is just crap. It's crap. Why do people like Divergent? Why do people like it? I'm going to give 3 different ratings. 1 for this film, 1 for the entire Mockingjay film, and 1 for the entire series, which is going to be interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, here we go. Mockingjay Part 2 gets a solid B. The whole Mockingjay film gets a C+, and the whole franchise gets a solid B. Guys, tell me down below what you thought of Mockingjay Part 2. Did you enjoy the film? Did you enjoy the way it ended? Are you a fan of the books? Did you like all the films? Tell me your favorite film in the series. My favorite is Catching Fire. That's my favorite film in the whole series. Overall, I'm gonna miss this series. I thought it was a great ride. I enjoyed being a part of it. Hunger Games, you will be missed. Thank you so much for watching this review, guys, and I'll see you guys soon.